we're graced by a little golden rays coming down. Um, we're back for installment 3. We've just gone through a very powerful moment. I think I want to give just a little prelude of the kind of dark passage you're going through and been going through over and over. Should I talk about it, or do you want to?
No, you talk about it. Your English is better.
So, we never really got to this story, but fully. But, Risha had a big health practice that made lots of money. And she has this big condo, expensive condo in Santa Monica. And she came from Poland when she was 18, 20? She came when she was 20, and she had nothing. She left with $5, which on the boat she bought some presents to send back to her parents. Her second parents, not her birth parents, which died in the Holocaust. And she was a Holocaust child, Jewish, but raised by Catholics, although her father later turned out to be another hidden Jew. She just elbowed me. I guess I wasn't supposed to tell you that, but I did. And now you know. Okay?
I hope this doesn't go to Poland.
So she came here with nothing, and she built a very successful life for herself, making lots of money, having a nice place, throwing big parties, working with the stars in her practice, working with, who are some names?
Hollywood. No, we're not going to put names.
Okay, we don't need to put names. She was working with all the biggest people and, living that life, a society life. And now, just in the last year, first, the practice started falling apart. The people in her practice weren't really dealing with her responsibly. Her partner died.
25 years.
Within a month of her partner of 25 years dying, this woman had basically conned her out of her house, telling her she was going to help her refinance, and instead, tricked her into signing over the deed to her house. And the case, it went to trial. They tried to get the house back, but her lawyer was kind of negligent and didn't really put any time into the case, and they lost. So basically,
but he took the money.
And he took the money, but basically, it totally was an open-shut case that she should have won. And anyways, I got here as we were filing a motion. She was filing a motion to get a new trial, and I helped.
And by the way, I cannot read and write, but I have very good communication skills.
Yeah, and so we lost that too. And so every day, Risha...
Why is so dark on the screen?
Every day, Risha has been experiencing and confronting this fear, which at least in this lifetime goes to her childhood, which are memories of the war-torn Europe, of people living in poverty. And the triggers of this event, of the threat now of her being pushed out of her house and being on the street, and she doesn't have her health practice anymore, doesn't have an income, are taking her back over and over again to this really, the really wounded inner child who lived in that poverty. And although she's been fearless in her life, she thought she had protected herself and built a castle that she would never have to go back to that place. And I think I'll turn it over to you.
Well, the bottom line is that my message here is not about being a victim. It's not about begging somebody to help. I don't know if I live long or not, is in God's hands. But I just experience new language, holograph. I don't know if I pronounce right, do I? And that moment, what 40, 50 years ago, we was calling this regression, rebirthing, and stuff like that. Through power of suggestion, going to alpha state and trying to reach unreachable, to understand and wake up to memory which is locked in as an engram from Scientology to Christianity to Judaism. We learned this, we know that, but it was not so reachable as just few minutes ago.
So what happened?
I just went to a place which simultaneously I was in the bubble of time and space and looked, if because I'm also artist, I see things by pictures, look like you take two crystal balls, one smaller, one bigger, and you put one into another, and whole thing is spinning, and the little ball is going quick, quick, quick. The big ball is going slower, and suddenly I saw as a hologram. I saw myself as a little child, and then as a bigger child, and then a little bit bigger, and then I became fighter for my life. And then I went to America for exchange student, and then got married, and then children, and then in it I start seeing actually in it, in that bubble, my children in the womb, and how they was receiving engrams from me what my eyes saw. That's what my children became.
In other words, engrams, she means like these memories that were her that just got imprinted in her children too, and that happens to all of us over and over.
Yes, in embryonic state, what my mother saw, the dead, the people on the street, snow, ghetto, pregnant. She was pregnant with me, and then she had a child 6 years old, a little boy, blonde, beautiful, beautiful eyes, and they caught them and they sent them to Auschwitz. And what she saw was in my brain as a present to me.
So let me
Go
jump in
ahead.
for a second. So, you know, many times in the last several days, and I've been working with her, something will trigger those patterns, those fears that take her back to this state, these, you know, pre-birth memories, birth memories, young child memories, and she gets in a panic. And she just walked in the house like I was here, and she walked in like 20 minutes ago, and she was, you know, terrified and like, I'm gonna lose everything, like
I lost
you know,
already.
I'm gonna be on the
I
street
lost
homeless. And I
already.
said, wait, stop, like, where you 3 hours ago you were totally empowered and feeling the flow of energy, and now you're totally broken down and helpless. So what happened? Stop. What happened? You know? And it turned out she had a conversation with someone who was telling her, get realistic, you're gonna be out on the street, you know, you have to deal with reality. And that instantly put her back into this place of fear and helplessness. Now what I've been trying to do with you is like help you over and over to be in a loving, supporting energy with that place of fear and helplessness, to see that it's just a story, that it's not reality, that in reality you are like an eternal spiritual being, right? Having this experience. And that's the reality. So everything else is this story, these memories that have been passed on and on and on. And what happens and has happened when we've sat together is that by me helping her sit in presence and love with those fears, that they transform themselves, right?
Yes.
And they suddenly vanish, and we're both carried into a place of kind of real serenity and peace, like spiritual peace and serenity, where we know in our hearts in that moment that everything is perfectly all right. And so I told her that, you know, are you going to let your heart follow your mind, because your mind goes into fear and then your heart becomes terrified? Or are you going to recognize that that peace and serenity is the truth? That's the truth. Not the story, not the stock market, not real estate, not things falling into the ocean. The true story is that peace in your heart that comes when one human and another has communion with each other, and communes with their spiritual nature, and communes with each person that communes.